Why are people always drawn to the weird, creepy, broken, and sometimes just bizarre things in life? When I tell people what I do for a living, the responses fall into that category. Some are amazed, others are intrigued, most are creeped out, but I see it as so much more. I see a used, cracked, broken, and beat up piece of art that needs restored. I carve and restore professional ventriloquist dummies, and in some ways, it reminds me of my own story.
Hey guys, welcome to DP Deconstruct. Today, we're talking about what it looks like to dial in that professional look. What does that mean? People use cinematic, some use Filmic. We're just saying intentional professional look.
And I think why it's important, right? Like, what's the difference between building that professional cinematic look versus just walking in with a camera and doing like almost like an event coverage, right? A film and follow type deal. And there's a space for both.
Sure.
I think it's important to say that there's a space where
well,
both are good.
We live in a day and age where it's really easy. The cameras are really good. You can grab a camera and just go and probably get a pretty professional look. But we get asked all the time, like, man, how did you guys ABC? And it's like,
Yeah.
And that, I think that's the fun part. Like, I've been doing this a long time now, and
He's old.
Yeah, the truth is like, sometimes I miss not having all the toys. You know what I mean? Like, you're intentional about everything I had to do back then because the cameras weren't good. So you had to really dial things in. And sometimes we just lean too heavy on the technology and it's like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But like, man, I think all of us love the projects that we get to actually really spend the time with. And
We do.
And again, like that's where we find it's fun. It brings back the joy of what we get to do.
Yeah.
And it's not just work. You know.
I think probably the where I would say to start this is that absolutely there's a place for both. There's a time when you are going to do a less highly produced, right now, I'm pretty sure Kenny's running his cell phone to get some BTS of the podcast right now. And there's a place for that, right?
Yeah.
The videos we're talking about are the ones, if you want to get into the more highly produced, professional, not just grabbing a camera and
this
Hollywood
podcast
light
is over probably produced for what we're doing.
Right.
But like, there's a reason it looks the way it looks.
Right. 100%. And so that's what we're speaking to specifically. So I would say, like, do you want to start with, in my mind, we've always talked about what's the purpose of a camera? What does a camera do? A camera catches light, right?
Yeah.
It captures light, the interaction of light with the subject.
Yeah.
So I guess we could start off with lighting. When you're trying to dial in a specific look, how do we start our lighting process? We've kind of done a video on this in the past.
Yeah. Well, it starts with pre-production. It starts with, site visits and all of the, the things that actually will set you up for success. And you're walking into a space, and this happens, that you're like, oh man, we have to fix this, mess but that's usually, if it's a client that you're taking the time to build an intentional look, you're gonna make sure that you're actually,
you're walking into.
Yeah. Your pre-pro
Yeah.
is it's going to be intentional as your shot, and so that way you're actually ready and prepared. And I think that's the biggest thing. And so typically, first and foremost, we're having a conversation with the client of going, what do you want?
What's your goal for this
what
video?
does this look like? And so we put together mood boards. We put together what that looks like. We have conversation back and forth, and we kind of fine tune it that way. We might have an idea in our head, and then you deliver it and they're like, wow, you guys really missed the mark. And
right.
The whole idea is we just wanted to create something look cool and dramatic or something. Well,
and they're wanting polished and corporate, right? Or the other way around. I've done stuff for companies or individuals, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is a professional job. Let's go super corporate, clean whites. And they're like, man, I really wanted something more moody. And it's like, oh, well, back to the drawing board. And there's ways to fix it in post, but it's always better if you know what you're walking into.
And so, the lighting is the thing that's going to set all that. But at the end of the day, I wish clients, even if it's a passion project, spend more time in pre-production. And I just think that, man, that's going to be
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail right on the head, actually. Like, I think when we look back to the projects that we're the most proud of, it's the ones on our projects, and anybody who's making their own content, right? Most people will see the finished product, right? When I look at a project that I enjoy, typically I'm looking at it as a whole project, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, some videos we have are super cool and they turned out fun, but I don't like them as much as other projects that maybe aren't as nice, but we had a good time or whatever, right? It's the whole project. And also how much time we had to spend on the back end fixing things, right? Because we didn't do it right in camera or whatever. So I think that pre-production and just walking in with a good base understanding of what you're wanting out of the shoot, I think that's probably absolutely stepping.
Yeah, and the reason I say to like step back just a little bit, because yes, like if we're gonna get into like making a shoot look awesome, yeah, your lighting is gonna be key. I wish more and more people, I feel like, are getting that, but like that's the thing where people are like, oh, I want a new camera. I'm like, dude, screw the camera. There's a reason why iPhones are,
taking off. Yeah,
you can shoot something amazing on an iPhone when the lighting's good, right?
Right.
And so that's part of it. Now today we're gonna actually break down something we did years ago, and it's a project that you and I are still thankful we got to be a part of. It was super exciting. There's things we would have done different, you know, but like
absolutely,
we actually did that. I think we started off and I sent you some mood boards of like Pinocchio and wood shops and like this really dramatic feel, because
an old guy at a desk. I remember there was an old guy at a desk with, it had the colors that you want. It had the contrast and the shadows that you wanted.
Yeah.
And it's so funny looking back on that. That all started out as a complete passion project. Like, hey, I want to do this thing.
Yeah, but what it's actually launched into.
Yeah.
So I would also say, like, if you haven't seen that video, I'd encourage you to go watch it, not just because we want you to see it, but it's a powerful video. But it's also it's actually opened doors that we would have never imagined, to be honest with you. At some point, I've heard David Copperfield got to see that video. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, how cool is that?
That's super
And
cool.
so I say that because it's a unique story. It's about, ventriloquist dummies and how kind of crazy unique that is. But it's really about this guy who restores these ventriloquist dummies, and ultimately it's a testimony of his story of how his life has been restored. And so I just think it was fun to do that, but it allowed us to slow down. I think that's like the number one thing. Slow down and be intentional. We went back there 5 times to make a 6-minute video, and we were in 2 rooms the entire video, and outside of a couple outdoor shots.
There were 1 or 2 of those days, like we got 3 or 4 shots in 7 hours.
And we were excited about the shots.
And they were all amazing. Yeah. Like it was those are our favorite shots of the film, right?
Yeah.
But it was very intentional. We were extremely nitpicky about every aspect of that shot.
Yeah.
And it made the post process a lot easier.
And you keep using the word intentional and kind of share a breakdown of that. Like the lens choices we use, the color tones to bring in the emotion in camera, not just in post production, the lighting for those things. There's a sense of solitude and seriousness about the entire film, and so all of those things were intentional about what we did. Like we literally rented a lens specifically for this project because we knew we needed the intricacies of everything that was happening.
Yeah, we wanted to show what is not always easy to see in any other lens that you would use to capture.
Yeah.
So let's talk through, is there a specific shot you want to talk about on that?
Well, I mean, let's just talk through, there's like a couple opening shots that are in, Tyler is his name, Tyler's office, and he has like all this history of ventriloquist dummies back from the beginning, from like, the origin of how ventriloquist dummies got along, and it was really more of like a companionship, trying to make something lifelike, and then it turned into entertainment, and the whole process is creepy anyway. It's weird. The more we went, we were like, yeah, this isn't getting any better.
Yeah.
Eyeballs and body parts and just crazy stuff. But like we wanted to show the uniqueness of this thing. So one of the opening shots is a very, very dramatic dolly shot of, he has this awesome, it's almost like a museum where like all of these little books and
knickknacks,
like tools they used back in the day to carve these things. And so we it was all detail shots, kind of bringing you into like, oh, this whole thing is unique. And so it starts off with this voiceover with like like these little processes kind of bringing you into, oh, this, he's like, my profession, and it is weird. I'm a ventriloquist, I restore ventriloquist dummies. And so we wanted to bring you into the uniqueness of that. And so I think those opening shots, there's a few of them that I can think of right off the top of my head, but I'm going, all of those things, that's what you were saying. Like, we walked away with 4 shots, but we knew we needed to haze this room so that things fell off, but there was like this mysteriousness about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so from the atmosphere of the room to the lighting in the room to the equipment being used, mm-hmm. was all very specific so that this image could come to life.
Well, I would say even more to when you were saying like the equipment that we used, it wasn't just that we shined a couple of lights from different angles. Like, we were very intentional even on gobos that we were using, and obviously the way that the Kelvin was working off of, working in tandem with each other, or
going outside, shooting through a window, mm-hmm. making sure that where it hit on the shelf itself, looked a little bit more moonlightish,
and interacting with haze. And how are we creating these light rays? And I mean, this room was probably 8 by 10.
Yeah, it is tiny.
It was extremely small, and we had it was fun to shoot. We have some pictures that we'll post up throughout the deal of the background or the scene. We didn't get a lot of BTS because at that point it was just you and me, and we were trying to focus on the shoot. Mm-hmm. But we did get some photos, and we'll post these through to kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. But I actually like, a shot that comes to my mind is in his little shop where we had light coming through the window, and I know I have a picture of this where you're getting a shot over the shoulder as he's brushing mm-hmm. the head. That shot took so long to build.
Yeah.
Even there was a shot in the shop where he was bringing a box in that he had got, and we had to flip everything around, right? Yeah. But there's only one window, and if we would have just walked in to either one of those, either the office or the shop, that film would have looked completely different.
I wish we would have got before pictures of that shot, because it's high key LED lighting, super bright.
Well, it's an LED. It's an LED rope.
Yeah, it's a rope light. Yeah. And then shop lights. I mean, it is bright. It was not pleasant. Mm-hmm. And it was like, how do we just, kill that and bring this whole thing to life?
So that's what we did. I mean, I think we're talking about how to be intentional, or how to get that look. We walked in there, we knew that this was a problem, right? Mm-hmm. Again, we had pictures, and
I had that in my head.
And we knew the look that we wanted. So the first thing that we did is, what can we control? We can turn off all the lighting, and we have a window. We knew we wanted that window to act as a motivated light mm-hmm. coming in, so we could build looks off of that. And we started with a blank slate outside of that window, mm-hmm. and then everything else we pieced together. And we walked in when we had phone calls before, like, okay, what do we think we need to build this room? And so we would talk about our light choices. And I think that a key thing about this podcast that we're talking about, in a little bit different than a shot breakdown. I mean, we could do a shot breakdown of this simple, but I think that the important thing to take away is not necessarily how do we light this scene. It's the fact that we were just very, we took concepts of lighting, and we knew what we wanted to build out, and we built it out. And it's not even that there's some secret about what we were doing. I mean, at the end of the day, you have a key, we had a fill, we had practicals, and we had a rim light.
Yeah.
Like that, at the end of the day, that's what we did, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that anything was
how
even
you use
unique.
Those to bring emotion. It's how you use those to make your audience feel how we wanted to portray this entire story, because it is unique. It's heavy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But in the same time, it's like, it's like, whoa, what's happening? And so you're seeing him work as the story's going. And I think that was the cool part of this whole thing, is like, I think one thing that sometimes we downplay a little bit is vision casting this to your talent or to because we went in and we're like, Tyler, our goal today is get 5 shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, just asking you to be patient. And he was awesome. He was like,
Yeah.
whatever you guys need, I'm here. I'm excited just to be part of this. Right. So like just allowing to bring him in, like, this is what we're going to do. And then, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking. What do you think? Does this fit the vibe that, is in this space, And so I think that's what was awesome with, again, I've shared that footage with somebody doing another documentary about, ventriloquist dummies. And they're like, hey, we saw this footage is so good. Can we use this? Right. And like, we didn't get to use the Red Raptor. We didn't get to use, like, we had to use what we had in this tiny little space and no budget and no, this was a passion project that it took us 3 months to shoot because we spread out the shoots in between other paying good jobs. Right. And so we just had to keep the uniqueness of that entire thing. And so again, I invite you into the mindset of that, because I think sometimes we just want to hurry through something. And I think that is the biggest destruction of creativity, of, that professionalism. And I would rather wait 3 months on a project and feel like, oh, that was cool, than to be like, okay, we have a day to do this. Let's just get it done.
Well, we've been there too.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but like, if you have the ability to slow down and actually be intentional about these things. And so, one of my favorite shots is the mechanics of the back of this head. Like, the head cap is released, and the mechanics, when he moves them, you and I were like, whoa,
yeah.
Like, just think about what goes into that, the soldering, the intricacies of this. And we're like, how do we do this? And I was like, Aaron, we need to rent this probe lens. Right. Like, we got to get into this. And so we rented that lens for that shot.
Right.
But then it turned into so many other creative ideas where, like, literally the mechanics are moving. And people ask me if it's animation. Like, I've been asked if that was animation because it's unique.
So unique, right?
Because, I mean, that probe is in the inner workings as they're going up and down. And, like, it moves right when the lens passes it. And it's like, how did that happen, right? And it was just like, I love that shot.
47 takes.
Yeah. Like, all right, do it again. The head's moving too much.
I think, to go back to, this kind of works with lighting, and it's kind of on the post-production, which we'll get to in a bit. But a lot of the times when we were really having the darker, more heavy, I went not crush blacks, but heavy shadows, it was during a very serious time or portion of the video. I mean, not to do a spoiler alert, but he was dealing with addiction. Right. And so how do we make it where you feel this more than just words, but you feel it visually as well?
Right. You see it, you feel it emotionally. The music is one of my favorite parts. Like, I went through forever, and it was like, I don't even know if I'm going to find this. But then all of a sudden, it just started coming to life. And there's times, like, at one point, it's like this circus carnival scream in the background, and you're like, but everybody's like, dude, this so fits this,
Yeah, I think in building everything intentionally, and then as we got to the inner mechanics and stuff, that fit the storyline as well. And so, yes, we're choosing not only the shadowy and whatever, but also your shot selection goes with the story, which, we have the idea of B-roll, and B-roll is awesome, and B-roll is supporting footage and all the things, but how do you tell a story, especially something as unique with ventriloquism? How do you use shot selection to help tell that story and to help people become engaged in what they're watching? Right.
One of the ways we did that was we invited Tyler in, and we're like, hey, we want you to do what you would do. He's like, a lot of times I'm sitting down because this is intricate work you have to have right up into your face. And, you're painting, you're making sure little tiny, carves and all of the little things, watching him cut the hair and give it a haircut, like creepy. All of it's just crazy. But, so we brought him in, and he, at one point, it looks like another B-roll shot. Where he's like working on the head, and then you slowly pan up, and he's the one talking, and so the voiceover is just pure, and and it's just like, as his mind is processing, he's going through this, so it invites you back into, like, the restoration process,
right?
And then the best part is then you begin to see the process of the story unveil, and the whole thing changes. Light, hard.
Yeah.
The color grade changes. The lighting changes.
The music obviously changes.
Yeah.
It's not creepy anymore. I think that's what's really cool. And we talk about this, and like I said, like Matt said, watched it, go and watch the link. We'll put the link in the thing, but go watch it. And, it's really neat looking back, because gosh, how long has that been? 4 or 5 years?
5 years, I think.
That's crazy. But looking back at what we did, we've learned so much about intentionality since then, right? And I think that we've done shoots where we were like, okay, we're going to go in with a purpose and we're going to do all these things. But I feel like that was the one where we were finally, like you said, we took 3 months because we were like, we're going to do this right. There's no need to rush this. And we just, every single shoot, we were there for a purpose, right? And it wasn't ever just to just go get shots, right? And that's one of the only videos that I know of where I know multiple men who have watched it, grown men who have watched it and bawled, right? Because it speaks to men. It might speak to women too. I just know it speaks to. I'm not a woman. It speaks to men, and
well, so much so that somebody reached out to us and said, "Hey, we have a story I want to tell.
Yeah,
would you help me?" I watched that video and I literally wept.
Yeah,
and there's a story that I want to tell, and so what was a passion project turned into a really cool next step job for him.
Yeah,
and he literally said the way you showed it was so unique, and to me, that's part of like what stirs my passion. Like, I would hate video production if it was the same thing over and over again. I don't think I could do one of those like, hey, this is my job, show up every day, turn lights on and hit a camera, go.
Yeah.
I love problem solving. I love being creative. I love visually seeing something and then bringing it to life and being like, we did that.
Right.
And then the last part, and I'll let you kind of wrap this up, but like, I would encourage people not to do these things alone. Like, I'm so thankful. There's like, Aaron, what do you think about this? Like, oh, sometimes you're the DP or I'm the DP or I'm the director. And you're and it's like, who cares? Like, let's do this thing together.
I think if you can enjoy both.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's funny. There's been some shoots where we both wanted to be the DP. And it's like, no.
Like, I don't want to direct the thing.
Yeah, we argue about what we don't want to do, not what we do want to do. But honestly, most of the time we do both.
Yeah.
But that's just how we work. But yeah, on that one, honestly, you were the director and the DP, and I acted as an AC. But it was so cool.
That, but you are a detail person.
Yeah, I know.
And so we're trying to get details, and you're like, dude, imagine if the light was hitting that a little bit more, and like slowing me down to make sure that those shots were just.
Sometimes you are. Yeah, you have a tendency to be like, let's go, because you're really hyper, and it's not that like
I'm excited about the creative big picture.
Yeah,
but like what really makes all those things matter is those
stopping and slowing down just a little bit.
Those intricacy. Detail, those things. And I'm like, that's why I love getting to do things
as a team. Yeah. Right.
And then now we got young guys who are like, hey, they're way more modern and cool than we are.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah. How do we,
Well, I think one thing that I think you were talking a minute ago, and for me, this is a good way to wrap it up. I think you were talking about how you couldn't, if you had to just go in and flip a camera on and hit record and all right, action, and that's it. For me, hunting used to be my absolute biggest passion. I cared about nothing the way I cared about hunting. And doing that.
Now it's golf. Sorry, rabbit trail.
I love golf. But I cared about nothing the way I cared about hunting, right? And there was nothing I got fired from a job because I cared about hunting so much, right? All I wanted to do and think about was hunting. And because I had a job where I was filming and it was so formulaic that there was no creativity. It was, okay, we have this part of this video we're wanting to make. This is how we're going to do it. Bang, 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 done. Get in the stand. We want these shots. Bang, 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 bang. And I got to where it's getting better.
Yeah.
I enjoyed hunting this year.
But it changed your mindset. You were a different person.
I did not want to be, I would still rather golf than hunt. 100%. if it's a good thing that you golf on warm days and hunt on cold days, because if I had to choose to go hunting on a warm day, I would never hunt.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen, because I still just don't have that burning desire to go and sit in a stand. It's a lot. It's fun. It's relaxing. I'm liking it more now that I've had 2 to 3 years to kind of just not bring a camera to the stand with me. Yeah. It's hard for me to pull my camera out of the bag to this day, because it's
I was with you on a shoot and we didn't pull that camera.
Yeah, okay. At the time, my biggest buck that I ever killed, Matt was in the blind with me. And he wasn't there to film the hunt, but he was there, and it was like, hey, if we see something, we'll get some cool footage, and we'll get some stuff for a video we're going to do later. We had a buck come in. Granted, I told him I wasn't going to kill it. And we had 4 cameras in the blind. Not one of them were touched. Not even a phone. It was just
it didn't even act like I was going to touch one.
No. But, again, I think that's what I needed.
Yeah.
To get over that a little bit. It's like, it's not about the film. And I remember when, again, we had said I wasn't going to kill the deer, and then Matt was looking this way. He turned around. I'm at full draw. But I think that just being able to enjoy hunting for hunting was really fun. But the whole point of that whole
story
rabbit trail was that if you do things because you're being intentional and you can be creative and you can find ways to make it your own little flavor, I think that is what's going to help keep the passion alive, right? I know like Kirk, he works for an ag company that I'm a part of, and it's hard to make some things fun with farming, because farming can be difficult, right? And I've encouraged Kirk, like, how can you make this yours? What can you do to make this cool? And he's really taken that on the past, 4 or 5 months. And our content for that farming stuff has gotten better. He quit trying to fit the mold that I was trying to put him in, right? And I was just like, hey, you put you into this. And ever since he's been able to do that, our content's gotten way better because he's getting more passionate about it.
Well, and think about it, man. We've all been there. Something that has become a job and a duty compared to a passion. Now, there's going to be times where that's just what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I'm also going, in those times, how can you be intentional about making it more exciting? Like, I say that all the time. There's plenty of stuff that I'm like, man, this is tough to go do today.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I find myself nerding out about it. Oh, did you see that light come through? That gave me this idea. Blah, blah,
Oh, you can tell when the light's not good.
Oh, man.
When the light's not good, Matt and I are like, whatever. As soon as you start getting a good light, we're like, dude.
Yeah. And that's the fun thing. But yeah, to wrap this up, I think to have a professional look, intention is the word that's always going to bring that to life. And when you start talking about emotion, that's intentional. When you start talking about look, that's intentional. Lighting, it's intentional. Like, all of these things compound on each other to when you go, there's so many projects that were like, this could have been good.
Yeah.
But, you know, and
I would say most time it's us.
It's us, or it's a restriction of all the things I just said.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to get this done in 30 minutes. We don't have time. And then all of a sudden it's like,
well, that's what I mean by it's us.
Yeah.
Like, now sometimes sometimes it comes down to what's the budget of the piece. Do you have, was the client willing to do pre-production, or is it, hey, I need you to come film this today because I need this out next week or whatever. Yeah. But when I say it's us, I mean, we didn't either take or have the time to do pre-production, or we're not shooting during the ideal time of day because it's a rush project, and it just happens. Yeah. Like, sometimes there is rush work that's just not as good. But yeah, when you and I are really like, let's go, it's because we had the time to do it. Yeah. We have a shoot coming up in December. We are excited for, because we're going to be able to make things we've been wanting to get into this little space, this little industry for a while. And we're finally able to like bring all the cool toys out, and we're going to make really cool stuff. And we're going to be very proud of the end result. I just know we are, because of the intention that we're going to go into that with. Right.
Well, and again, my encouragement to anybody, whether you have nothing or if you have everything, like, there are so many concepts and principles that you can apply. Like, my son this morning, I'll finish with this story. I promise I'll be done. But he's on my bed, and I'm like, he has his shoes on. I'm like, get off my bed, Titus. What are you doing? He's like, Dad, look at this. And the sun was peeking through. We have these wood shutters in our red that my wife made, and it had a little knot hole in it, and it was creating a hard light that was hitting the door, but it was hitting like 3 things that was coming through. So it was like hit the door. Well, and then the bathroom steam was coming through it, so you could see it. And I'm like, kid got it, man. He's got it. And so like, how do I get mad at it? Get off my bed with your shoes.
Right.
But he's like, look at this. Look how cold this is.
Let me put a camera in your
hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think those are the things that makes it exciting. And my point is you don't need to have all of the ABC. Now, yes, it makes it easier when you have the gear to create
and sometimes more fun.
Yeah, but it's also like, dude, I'm telling you, like, I don't want to do this just like, you know this. I love storytelling. When I hear somebody's story, I'm literally thinking, okay, we could do this. We could do this. This is how we could bring this to life. This is like, yeah, I want to do that, So,
yeah,
good stuff.
I think learn with intention. I know that like Matt and I both, I have a lot of people hit me up on social media about what do you think about this or how can I do this? I love that, right? How can you get with a network of people that can help you learn how to be more intentional, because it's not all intuitive. It's not exactly easy to learn how to slow down. When we're creative, like when we have that vein of, all right, I want to be creative now, it's easy just to go out and shoot. And then you're willingly giving up things because you're in your creative mode, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier to just step back just for a second, stop. Like you're talking about me being detail oriented. Usually the reason we would say I'm detail oriented is because I step back and I like shut off the creativity for a minute and I'm like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Right. And that's where that little step can make things a little better. And honestly, half the time nobody's ever going to notice, but you're going to know. And that's what matters. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I would say, I think we went over 30 minutes.
Probably.
And so do we go over 30 minutes?
I don't know. I'm going to set a timer.
Yeah. Peace.